Good morning, CEDIA 2020. Welcome to the last and final day of the show. We are Modus VR here today to bring you some amazingly new content from our software and show you how we do things. So what is Modus VR? Modus VR is a sales and design tool built specifically for AV professionals using virtual reality to create unique and memorable sales experiences, solve problems that are sometimes unsolvable without actually being in an actual room. So how do we do all this? Well, we're going to show you today. We'll be doing demos all day long, and what I'd like to show you right now is actually going to be a nice modern theater room. So we'll show you the workflow of start to finish, how a project comes together in Modus. We'll build the room out in VR together, and then we'll also show you how to get great deliverables that you can send home with your customers or clients, send out to other trades if you need electricians or general contractors to know what you've planned. It's a great way to collaborate as well. So how do we get projects into Modus VR? Well, let's show you here. We'll start off right here. We have some floor plans already generated. So what we're going to go ahead and do here is create a space, and this room we'll call Modern Theater. Cool. Now we have a collection of all the projects we've done in the last 24 hours as well, posted to the CEDIA channel, and we'll continue doing that so you can see all the content that we've created. Just check into the, I believe it's called the Demos tab. What's the tab called here? Called the Demo Deliverables tab, so you'll be able to see all the deliverables that come out of the projects that we're creating. So start with an empty space like this, and the first thing we want to show you that's new to Modus VR, was released back in June, is a new update to our launcher, and this is the ability to use a reference image to bring in a floor plan of the room. The room we're working on here is room number 9. Now this is actually a hand-drawn floor plan. These work great as long as they are drawn to scale. That's the big thing. So down here we've got some dimensions. This room is going to be 20 feet wide by 25 feet long with a 9-foot ceiling. So we have this front wall is 20 feet, so we can just draw a quick reference line across this and tell the software it is 20 feet, and what will happen is it'll scale it into the software. So now when we draw walls on these on the floor plan, everything should be to scale. So I'll come out of the reference image area here. I'm going to change my snapping to 1 inch. Height of the ceiling is 9 feet. Units, so we can change our units between imperial and metric. We'll keep this one imperial, and then we can also change the wall thickness. So to start adding walls, we click the Add button right here, and then what we'll do is just come in here, and one wall at a time we'll start clicking in. And if I click from these dots, it should just connect a wall right up. So there we go. This is a pretty straightforward room. It's just 4 walls. So now that we've got our walls added, we can actually come in here and make things nice and straight. And you can actually, if you've got dimensions listed like we do here, I can come in and actually tell the software that this wall needs to be 20 feet, not 20 feet 7, and it'll start adjusting things based on whatever point we have selected on that wall. Alright, so now we're nice and square. And I think these need to be interior dimensions. Let's just try this out. There we go. Get that one to 20. And get this guy to 25. Perfect. So 20 by 25 is our room dimension. So as you can see, we'll have a couple chairs. Looks like we're going to have a platform in the rear with a 7-inch step on either side. Projector. Pair of doors, and actually there's some corner elements that are being built here. So once you have the shape of the room determined, everything else we need to do happens in VR until we come back to get deliverables at the end of the job. So I've got Ken and Scott standing by in VR. Guys, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hey, Patrick.
Hey guys. All right, let me just switch the view over to you guys, and should be able to rock and roll here. Go in, launching into VR. Hey, there you guys are.
Hey, Patrick. This is Ken in green.
And this is Scott in blue.
All right, so what we're going to be doing is filling out the rest of the space. All that, like you said, is done in VR. Clients aren't typically with you for this part, but thankfully this part doesn't go too long.
Well,
so
speaking of too long, I'm going to go ahead and start a timer and see how you guys do. Wait, that's stopwatch. Go.
Perfect.
So typically these rooms take anywhere between, well, we've been practiced at these ones, and Ken and Scott are both really familiar with the workflow. So these have been taking us, I mean, gosh, they've been cranking rooms out in about 5 to 10 minutes max. Typically, once you have some training in Modus, you can get these rooms built out in 30 to 40 minutes is the average time I'd say most of our customers use. Scott handles a lot of that, and he'd know more about how long people are usually doing in VR builds, but it depends on how complicated you want to make the room as well. If you're trying to get really, really good detail, you can certainly spend a lot of time. It's really easy to get lost in VR. So it looks like you guys have divided up some of the responsibilities. Scott's taking care of, it looks like, ceiling details. Ken, you're handling the platform seating in the back.
Yeah, that's right.
Very cool.
And so we're just kind of building out the space as the room exists today, and then we're going to go ahead and add in the equipment more towards the end, just so we can present our recommendation for the space. It's not a very complicated space at all, but it's pretty nice. It's elegant. We're going to put in some of the, we're going to put in the Sneak Gramercy here. It's a smaller, more intimate theater. Our goal is to fit 5 people comfortably.
And typically we wouldn't have 2 people working in VR, Ken, would we? It would be more of a solo operation, but there's no limitation to that, is there?
No limitation at all. I mean, on the software team, it's not common for us to have 6, 7, 8 people.
It's a little chaotic, but
yeah, it's more entertaining than productive sometimes. But really, in most cases, your clients aren't even in here with you for this part. This is all just build out. But like we're showing you, it doesn't take very long, and it's fun. Partly just because it's so easy to do, you can accomplish a lot really quickly. And since the cost of change is so low, it's effectively free. It opens you up to explore some more interesting solutions to complex problems. In one of the demos we did yesterday, we kind of stumbled on a completely different layout for a room, just because it was so easy to try different things.
Right. And that's just it. I mean, changing things around once a room is built is very expensive, especially if there's any construction involved or rewiring. Whereas changing things around in VR, like you said, it costs nothing. It's a little bit of time and minimal effort. I mean, moving the furniture doesn't even require any muscles.
Yeah, so it's perfect for us computer nerds.
And it looks like we're going with a golden ear system in here. Is this a 7.1 that we've got planned out? Oh,
yeah,
7.1.
7.1. And the thing we really like about the golden ear system for this room is it's low profile. It still has that sleek aesthetic. So we really like how it all comes together and fits with the general motif of the room. It's also excellent performance for the price.
Nice.
All right, so we're getting pretty close here. The last thing I'm going to do is drop in a projector, and we're going to go with one of the JVCs. We'll do the DLA 9X here, or NX9, I'm sorry. So what I've got on here is the projector placement assistant, and this is, if you've ever used an online calculator for throw ratio and things like that, it's a pretty familiar concept. The nice part is we're doing it in the context of the room, and so we can see exactly how this projector is going to perform. We know what its zoom and horizontal and vertical shift capabilities are, and I'm also going to switch this. We'll keep the 16:9 for now and see how well it works. But basically, we can put the projector where we would like to put it in the room, and then see if zoom and horizontal shift will get us where we need to be. And it looks like, yep,
It's just about perfect.
it works.
And so we have data for many different projectors there. This is a new tool that we added, in
earlier
April?
this year. It was in the spring. Yeah, but the nice part is it just helps you discover whether or not this is going to work. The challenge with an online projector is you're kind of doing it in a void. You don't have the context of the room helping you out. Whereas in this particular case, we're going to be aware if there's a ceiling fan or a coffer or some other room detail. We also know where the projector sits relative to the seating. Since we're in VR, I can walk around and see, okay, do I have enough clearance between the projector and my head? All those little pieces of context that really help us make a fully informed decision. And then, of course, we can communicate that to the client. So, Scott, how are we doing on the build? Are we looking about done?
Yeah, I think we are done.
Okay, great. So, Patrick, it helps to think of Modus in terms of two parts. You have the design part and the presentation part. So what we've just shown here is the design part. And like I said earlier, usually your clients aren't in here with you for that. I mean, they could be if the case called for it. And then there's the presentation part. And that's really either taking place of or augmenting that step in the sales process where integrators typically slap down that giant stack of papers that is a proposal. And the advantage that Modus brings to that is instead of just showing them a stack of papers and asking them to imagine, you can instead say, hey, here, let me walk you through what this finished project is going to be like. And they're not having to use their imagination anymore to understand how big the screen's going to be or how it's going to affect the flow of the room. They can just experience it. And now the things that they're imagining and getting excited about are using the space, right? They're picturing sitting down with the family or having their friends over for the big game. And that's where a lot of that friction in the sales process can completely disappear. But also, as is common with proposals, you can present multiple options. So just as we built out this space, we can save it and recall it later. We can also have different versions of this space. You know, maybe we also wanted to show a 235 screen or maybe a multi-screen wall. Very easy to do, pulling those up only takes seconds. And it's a really powerful way to do things. But of course, on the presentation side, VR isn't always going to be a practical option. And so we've got other ways that you can present as well. So the second is more like what we're doing right now, where we are live streaming a presentation. So our customers are free to do that as well. And we help them out with the technicalities there. But even on top of that, we also want to have easily shareable deliverables. Things like generating photos, line drawings, and even panoramic 360s. And that's, Patrick, what I'm going to turn the time back over to you to show is how we can create all those deliverables once we've built a room like this.
Perfect. And just for reference, the build time of the room was 5 minutes 20 seconds, and I think I stopped the timer just a little bit after you guys were actually all wrapped up. So we'll jump back over to the launcher now that the space has been saved, and what we'll be able to show you at this point is how we get the deliverables out of Modus from the space that we built in VR. So we're going to jump back over to our launcher software here. And so here's the project. There's a nice little... Oh, wait a second. Oh, this is the wrong room. Wait a tick. There it is. Okay. Can we reload this room up here? Bear with me for just a moment here. All right. There we go. Well, the thumbnail is wrong, but hopefully this is the right. Let me just look at the floor plan here. Okay, it's the right room. It's the wrong thumbnail for some reason. We'll move on with that. So here is the room. You can come in and create some line drawings, and most people equate this. Yep, this is definitely the right room. Most people equate this to what we would call a CAD export. So what you're able to do is come in here and set up your views. The first thing you do is you'll see that there's actually a floor plan and a reflected ceiling plan already automatically generated from the VR file. We can also add additional views. Maybe we want to get the front wall elevation included in there, and then we just move this camera around, and it's simple to actually get it snapped onto the wall. So if you hold the control key as you move it up to a wall, it will automatically snap to that wall section. So I'm going to go ahead and hold control on this front wall, and then just bring the camera back a little bit here. And you'll see a nice preview of it. So you can see we've got our speakers, we've got our screen is called out, we even have these little plants and the subwoofers. So everything is there, and in a moment we'll be able to actually annotate that and tell dimensionality as well as call out the products. So it gives you a nice way to pop up all the information that you might need. Add a couple more views. So we'll do left wall elevation. And we'll come over here, grab this from the outside, and then flip it around, like so. And so on this one, maybe we want to capture the seating as well. So let's just go ahead and try and grab that like so. Perfect. So that looks like we're going to get the seats, the projectors included in there. We've got a sconce. I like that view. And then we'll just actually use the shortcut over here that it shows hold Alt to duplicate the camera. So if I click that guy, it will automatically create a copy of that one. And we'll call this right wall elevation. And we'll do something similar here. We'll pull this back to right about here and capture that same view. Perfect. And lastly, we want to get the rear wall. And on the rear wall, I'd like to actually capture these back seats and the projector. So let's just add a rear wall elevation and snap to that. And so as I pull this back here, once I get just beyond these seats, there's the projector, our rear speakers, and the seats. Perfect. So once we have our views set up, we're happy with all that, we can come in here, we'll save this, and we can annotate. And annotation really just allows us to go through and see every object that's been placed in the space. So on the floor plan, we obviously hide the ceiling. On the ceiling plan, we just see what's on the actual ceiling. So all the lights are there. So if this is a situation where you're doing the lighting design for the room, you can send this off to your electrician and just give them some reference points. So we can just call out that this light is 11 inches from the rear wall, and this is actually a soffit that's running all the way around the room, so we would want to call out that it's maybe 2 feet. Well, actually, it's going to be easier to show from the outside wall. So give them some reference points. You can even snap these to centers if you want, instead of just going into the actual device itself on the edge. You can snap to centers, so you can call out pretty much whatever you'd like. Maybe we want to say the projection system is how far from the front wall, so I think our throw distance is roughly 20 feet 3 inches, so maybe that's an important one to call out. We can also do the seating layouts, so if we wanted to call out the edges of the seating to the front wall, or the rear wall and the side walls here. I think this is nice and centered. Yep, sure is. So anything that you want to put a dimension on, even if it's the speakers, the height of the speakers might be important to your client. So you can come in here and you can call out just about any dimension in the drawing that you'd like. So once you've got all your notes added, and maybe we want to call this 16, I don't recall what size screen Ken put in there, projection screen, something like that. So there we go. Now we've got some nice labels, a few dimensions, and you can add as much or as little detail into this as you want. It just really depends on what you're trying to achieve with the end result. Once you've created all your labels, we can come in here and generate the drawings. And so what you have is we'll call this the modern theater room. You've got some information that's populated within the software, but it can be changed on the fly as well. So we'll call this Jim's Hi-Fi Company. And you can change the address, you put a phone number. Sure, hifiguy.com. You can even change your logo if you want. We won't do that because I don't have any logos ready to go. But click Generate Drawings, and you'll see we've got all the drawings from the previous day's demos here. But we're just going to go ahead and click Save, and this will generate into a nice PDF that's professionally formatted. I'll jump over to Acrobat here so you can see it. So it's professionally formatted. You can see all of our annotations are held here. You can zoom way in on this. It's nice and crisp. We've got a scale down here. I mean, it's a nice set of construction documents that you can send off to, like I said, anybody else in the trade. You can send it off to an electrician. Some folks like to use this for their installers if they wanted to put in things like the where the screen's positioning is going to be, or projector placement like we showed here. We knew the throw distance needs to be 20 foot 3, especially using that projection calculator. Validating this data is really, really nice and effective. So having these line drawings is a big part of the equation. It's obviously a nice thing to have. It gives you this professional presentation, but I wouldn't say that black and white line drawings are the most exciting thing to send home with a client. So after we do line drawings, we'll go back over to our launcher software here. We also want to come back out of here. We'll save those. And we also want to go here to Modus Photo. Now, Modus Photo is also new to Modus VR. This was released, I believe, in June, so earlier this summer. And Modus Photo is a companion app to Modus VR. So I'm going to load over here to Modus Photo. And you can see this looks a lot like the VR view that we had before. The big difference here, though, is that the lighting is done in a much more realistic way that adds a completely different visual appeal to creating these what we would normally equate to renders. So there's some great benefits to using Modus Photo versus traditional rendering methods. One is the speed at which we can change everything. So I can come in here and we can set some views. I'll just show you. We can bring the lights way down if we wanted to. We can adjust lights by lighting type. So we've got wall sconces, we've got the ceiling lights. If we had lamps or hanging lights, we can adjust all those. So it allows you to really quickly create these amazingly good-looking renders. We can even throw some content up on the screen. So let's just do the THX demo. We'll fast forward here and just find a cool scene that we like. There's one that's got some like snow globes. There we go. It's real pretty looking. And then we can actually come into the room here and find the angle that we want to be at. So maybe we want to capture something from this front row seating here. And let's just adjust the light so we can see the picture a bit better. Ceiling lights down. Try and keep the ambient lighting high enough so we get some detail in all the rest of the areas. We'll turn the ceiling lights off for this shot. And then, let's see. So all you have to do to take the screenshot is press enter, or I'm actually using an Xbox controller to do this. If I press the A key on the controller, it'll take a shot of that. And then let's get a shot from the front looking back at the rear of the room to show that projector and its location, and maybe the seating layouts as well. So the beauty of doing the renders this quickly and this low cost is that you don't have to spend any time working through a third-party piece of software to get these renders. You go right from our VR platform into the launcher, launch up Modus Photo, and start taking the render shots. The beauty of that is that it costs nothing to do, and so you can do all these fine-tuning adjustments. Typically, most folks out there are doing something, either they're using a third-party service, which could take days, if not weeks, to get results, or someone internal on staff, and even then, I mean, the time could be hours, if not longer. And typically speaking, once the sales process is done, you're going to want to send your client home with deliverables immediately. You don't want them to have to wait and think about what you talked about and wait for renders for 2 or 3 days or whatever that timeline might be. So being able to generate these renders and pop them off in an email is a really, really great additional feature that we've included here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this other screenshot here. We'll do something like this. And you'll see down in the bottom left corner, it actually captures a little thumbnail of the room. And then the last thing we're going to show here, and this is a brand new feature that we're actually doing some final testing on. It should be out for release before the end of the year, I'd hope. This is our 360 view. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a nice position in the room that I like. I'm just going to take a quick look around to make sure I'm not sitting inside of the couch, or, yep, I think we're clear of that. Maybe we'll go a little higher up. And just take a look around, make sure everything looks good. We like the lighting. We'll probably bring the ambient light in the room up just a little bit more. And bring these ceiling lights down. Alright. And so, from here, we can come in and I'll just take one more quick peek at the lighting. Alright. And then what I do is I'll actually hit the X button on my controller, or you can hit Control and Enter as the keystroke to do this, and you just saw it actually said Make 360. And so what Make 360 actually has done for me is it's generated a 360 image that I can get back to here in our launcher. And if I go right here, find the screenshot or the thumbnail of it. So this is the room we just did. These are all the rooms from yesterday. I can go in here and click shareable URL, and I'll just post that straight into chat. Wait, maybe. I'll post that into chat. There we go. And Ken's going to post all these deliverables up to the CEDIA site as well under the Demo Deliverables tab. So everything should be there for you to consume, take a look at. If you have questions, by all means, please post them into the chat. We're here for the rest of the day. We'll be doing several different types of rooms. I believe the next room up is going to be... What is our next room? Let's just take a quick look at our floor plan to see if I can determine it. Room 10. This is a golf simulator room, so our next demo will start in about 35 minutes or so, 30 minutes, sorry, or so. So thanks for joining us here for the first demo of the morning, and we look forward to seeing you again on the next one. Please feel free to ask questions in chat. We'll be here all afternoon. Thanks a bunch, and thanks for joining us here at Modus VR.